Good evening. I call to order the December 18, 2017 legislative meeting of Swarthmore Borough Council. I notice that all members are present is the mayor. This time we welcome public comment from anyone who wishes to address us. No one. Oh.
The council,
there must be 4 trees left. But
yes, it is. Just wanted to let the community know, and
this would be Mr. Lee. Who
thank the Christmas tree sale. We concluded that yesterday. As many trees as we did in the normal 3 weeks from the last few years. We realize it's a little like a week earlier than Christmas, but that's how the weekends fall, and we thank the community and all for their support. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? This happening to be my final meeting of Borough Council, if you'll indulge me, I'll make a few comments if I might. For a long time, for as long as I know, Swarthmore Borough Council and mayor positions have had sort of informal term limits. That is, people serve 2 terms and they go on their way, which I think is an important, valuable way for many people involved in the affairs of the borough, and for the borough to benefit from a continuous injection of new ideas, new thoughts, new personalities into the process. But one of the consequences of that is that in council members themselves, there's very little permanent institutional memory because we constantly change. And the consequence of that is that it places an enormous priority on the quality of those who are hired by the borough to manage its affairs. We are fortunate to have in the borough manager, not that she's been here 125 years, which the borough is about to celebrate as its anniversary, but for more than 25 years, providing bright, humorous service for the benefit of the borough and guiding a whole succession of council members as they come and go in the proper discharge of their duties. Jane shares the characteristics which some people say I have and others from Western Pennsylvania have, which is sometimes wrong but never in doubt. And so I think as long as councils or township commissioners have a program like we have that constantly is revivifying their membership, it places a very high priority on the quality of the employees of the borough or township, as the case may be. And so I think we're all indebted to Jane for what she has done and continues to do for the borough and to help us do our jobs as well as we can try to do them. Similarly, we are so fortunate to have Chief Craig, who has been in his position for so many years, came to us with wonderful experience from the police department of the city of Philadelphia and provided a level of professionalism to the force which it had not fully had to the extent that he has brought it. Likewise, we benefit from the long service of Sergeants Stufflet and Thomas in their roles, they having been here a long time, and the officers who work with them. We benefit from Cuzzy Rolls, who has been in his position, I think probably longer than Jane has been in hers, and David Patterson and Brian Tipping and Rob Walters, who are the Public Works Department of this borough. We have Elise O'Rourke in the office and Nancy Carula, the treasurer, answering the phone and dealing with the orange fee envelopes as they're thrown across the counter at them. So we have, we're fortunate to live in the town we live in. I think we're fortunate to have been elected to serve in the positions in which we have served. This coincidentally is the last of my 20 years of elective office in this borough, 12 as a school board member, 8 on borough council, and if you add to that 7 years on the planning commission and 11 years as representative to the Central Delaware County Authority, I have worn out my welcome. I think But I think it's a privilege that we have to serve in the position we have. And it's been an honor for me to serve with you all and to serve with, before many of you arrived, with Philip Johnson, Melissa Lewicki, Susan Smythe, and Stephen Goldfield, with whom I also served on council in the early years. So it's, I think we're fortunate to live in the town we live in and benefit from it, and to associate with you all has been one of the great pleasures of my life. Jane brought to my attention that the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs is prepared to provide us with a plaque to commemorate the fact that this is the 125th year of the incorporation of Swarthmore Borough. And Jane has been here for only most of those years. And I will tell you that it's interesting, when I saw the brochure for the awards, there's the 25-year award, there's a whatever award, and some borough council members and borough council members, not township commissioners, were getting their 40th and 45th year awards. And so those are obviously people who serve in towns without term limits. But I'm not even sure we have to pay them any money for the plaque, but they're prepared to do that, and so that is worthy of attention and some pride for the borough. That having been said, there is distributed for our consideration tonight minutes of our meeting of November 13 and December 4. Is there a motion to approve those minutes as distributed? So moved. Mr. Christian, second. Second from Warren. All those in favor? First, is there any corrections to any of the minutes as circulated? All those in favor of approving the minutes as circulated, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Chair votes aye. They're approved. We have had provided to us before our last meeting a proposed meeting schedule for 2018, council meeting schedule. All those in favor of approving that schedule as distributed, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Do you need a motion? Or
So you just, I'm sorry.
Is there a motion to approve this? Thank you very much.
So moved.
So thank you, so moved. That's the greatest two words in the English language. So Mary moves the adoption of the meeting schedule as scheduled. Second?
Second.
Carrie seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. It's approved. Is there a motion to approve the holiday schedule as for 2018 as distributed?
So moved.
Second. Lauren moves. Second.
Second.
Second is Mr. Murphy. You got to get in all your seconds, and you know you're about to be a non-person. So
It's the end of my legislative career.
yes, exactly. Well, this time around.
For the time being.
For the time being. That's right. I should notice that I bore you. It's my evening, but I was just reading in Rolling Stone magazine a wonderful long interview of Jerry Brown. And Jerry Brown was in my law school 2 years behind me. And here I am doing this, and he's governor of the 6th largest economic unit in the world.
For the second time.
For the second time. For the second time. And he
has a cool nickname.
And he has a cool nickname. Is there... So, we have proposed resolutions setting fees, charges, and fines for 2018, which we looked at last week. Is there a motion to approve that resolution? Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Chair votes aye. I neglected to mention that in terms of term limits, when there was legislation passed in California to establish term limits, by its terms, it did not apply to the 4 people then living who had been or were governor of California. And so it didn't apply to Ronald Reagan, it didn't apply to Pat Brown, and it didn't apply to a guy with a name began with a D and went on with a number of letters. Was that it? Didn't apply to him, and it didn't apply to Jerry Brown. And that is why he could run the second time, because of that odd provision of that. Enough civic education tonight. All those in favor, we have a proposed resolution on setting salaries and benefits for 2018. Is there a motion approving that resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed, they're approved. Now, we have a proposed resolution to oppose House Bill 1620 that has to do with wireless DASs. And there was a proposed form of resolution which was provided to the borough, and based upon that, our solicitor, and let me circle back to the point I made earlier. Not only is it important that council, as it exists from time to time, get good advice and assistance from its direct employees, which we certainly have had, but it's very important that we get good legal advice to keep us from going astray and for letting us to know how we should conduct ourselves under applicable law. And Bob Scott, in my view, has done an admirable job for us in that regard. As circulated, Mr. Schmucky had a provision with a clause. Is that a point you wish to press tonight on us about the proposed resolution?
It's not a big deal, but the last paragraph of the resolution, they say, if they can abolish municipal right-of-way over wireless, they can abolish all municipal authority over all public rights-of-way, which to me seems a really silly thing to say in the resolution. They're never going to do that. It just seemed like somebody got carried away when they created this thing. I don't care one way or another.
Okay, that's good because it's been typed with that in.
It smacked of a little bit too much unvarnished advocacy.
It is, however, a truism because we are a creature of state law in every respect.
Yeah.
And so the legislature could decide to do away with our authority over everything tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Okay, that all having been said, is there a motion to adopt resolution number 2017, which would be -17, in opposition to House Bill 1620, entitled the Wireless Infrastructure and Deployment Bill?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of adoption of that resolution as it's been circulated, say aye.
Aye.
The Environment Committee.
No report.
Okay. Finance Committee.
Yes, several things to go over tonight. First, the financial report for the month of November. As we discussed a little bit before, revenues coming in ahead of schedule based on building permits and transaction fees, a bit higher than expected. Expenses running pretty much as expected, and so leading to a cash balance at the end of November of $1,399,107. Any questions as it relates to the revenues and expenditures for the month of November or year to date? Okay. All right, we'll move on. Next, I'm going to make a motion to approve wire transfers for the month of November totaling $2,406.07.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any question about that? All those in favor of approving those transfers, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. They're approved.
Okay. And moving on now to open invoices. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to take a look at those. These are from the 14th of December through the end of the month, through December 14th. I'm sorry, we did the last meeting. So these, I'd like to make a motion to approve bills to pay totaling $19,678.76 through December 14th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Murphy seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving payment of those bills say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. They're approved.
Okay. Next, moving on to the budget. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to look at it. It hasn't changed since our last meeting. I would, for any discussion potentially, I would highlight that we will have a finance committee meeting on Monday, January 20th, 7:30 a.m. And the main purpose is that the fund balance, as you can see by the last page, we're expecting about a little less than 1.1 million, depending on how things go through the end of this month, and that's higher than what we want to generally keep in the fund balance, which would be anywhere from 5 to 10% of revenue. So typically we'd be looking for $300,000 to $500,000. So we do have an extra $500,000 or $600,000, which is a high-class problem. But the finance committee will discuss, some alternatives, and we welcome any thoughts or ideas from council members or the public as it relates to how to utilize that money best for the borough.
Okay.
One question. Mike.
Yeah.
Did you say January 20?
Yes.
Because my calendar says that's a Saturday.
Okay, so it must be the 22nd then, sorry.
Okay.
It might be Martin Luther King Day.
Really? It's
Is
22nd?
it? I don't know.
It's the
I
one
don't know.
before that.
If it's a
Martin
movie
Luther King is
before,
the
The week
15th.
It should be the third. You're the
So
fourth?
it's the 22nd
must be looking at 22nd, yes, 22nd, I apologize.
at 7:30 a.m.?
Yes. Worth Monday.
We actually, just a second, since you
Yes.
said that, we've not advertised the committee meetings for next year, so that's probably one thing people should be thinking about as you all, however you decide on your committee assignments. We'll think about a date, whether you want to keep the same date, move it, because we do need to advertise those meetings, because they're all public meetings.
Okay.
Before you all meet.
Are you saying we should advertise them this month?
Nope, we can
No.
advertise them next month, but we can't wait. If you're going to meet in January, we'd like to advertise them before you meet.
Okay. Any other questions as it relates to the budget? Meeting? Okay. Next, I'm going to move on to the resolutions.
Did you adopt the budget?
That's a good question. I don't think we did. Okay, so
You move the adoption of the budget?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the budget for 2018.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Murphy seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. The budget is approved.
All right, thank you. Now moving on to the resolutions. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to take a look at them.
We have the tax and fee ordinance, I think, first.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah. So this would be, I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 1079 as it relates to the tax and fee ordinance for 2018.
Was there a second?
Second.
Mr. Murphy seconds. All those in favor, is there any discussion? All those in favor of that ordinance as it has been arrived at, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. The ordinance is approved.
The county, the tax bill for the borough will have a separate box. The fire tax will be so called out as requested. I don't know that that's going to happen in 2019 because there's a different vendor, but at least in 2018, there'll be all the millage except for the fire tax, and the fire tax will be separated out. And it'll apply, of course, to every folio in the borough. There's no increase in taxes, it's just two separate sections of the tax bill.
And I think it is the case that the segregation of that amount for that tax does not increase the over amount being taxed by the borough for real estate purposes, and that's probably a point that's going to have to be remade over
Yes.
time once the bills comes out, so people understand that that's not in addition, that's just parsing out part of what the total cost would otherwise be. Okay?
Okay, now I can move on to the other resolutions. So we're going to just go through them one at a time. Let's start with resolution number 2017-20, the authorization for tax collectors to collect the annual sanitary sewer usage fees. I'd like to make a motion to approve that resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
And Mr. Cregan seconds. Any discussion about that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. The resolution's approved.
Okay. Next, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2017-21 as it relates to the non-uniform and police contributions to the pension funds.
two separate resolutions.
It is? Okay, so, okay. Sorry, so this is for the non-uniform, 2017-21 is for the non-uniform pension plan. I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2017-21.
Is there a second?
Second.
Warren, second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. The resolution is approved.
Okay, now moving on to the Swarthmore Police Pension Plan, which is Resolution number 2017-22. I'd like to make a motion to approve that resolution.
Second. Second by Mr. Cregan. All those in favor say, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposition? It's approved.
Okay, next I'm going to move on to Resolution number 2017-23, which we discussed last meeting, which is that the recommendation of the Borough Pension Committee is that there be no cost of living increase granted to pensioners receiving a pension from the borough. So I'd like to make a motion to approve that resolution number 2017-23.
Second.
Second.
Ms. Walk, seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. The resolution is approved.
All right, and finally, resolution number 2017-24, which is the appointment of the independent auditor. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2017-24.
Second. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Schmucky, second. Jane, how long has this firm been our auditors?
Let's say this is their 5th year. They were our auditor, then we switched as we were last year. I think this is their 5th year. And, yeah,
Ever since I've been here.
Yeah.
Okay.
right.
And,
They changed it your first year, yeah, so this one, it's their 5th year.
And you support this resolution? You believe they do an appropriate job for the borough?
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Their employment is approved.
That is all.
Thank you very much. General government.
Okay, so with your permission, we'll have a brief meeting of the General Government Committee. I had circulated minutes for the September 8th, I'm sorry, for the October 16 meeting. Any discussion of those?
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Jane, I'll give you to you afterwards. Take care of that. We did not have any substantive meeting, and I think the mayor is going to talk about town center, the holiday season, I assume. And we had authorized, Jane, correct me if I'm wrong, some holiday decorations maybe were involved this time.
And they're up, I think.
Yeah, they're up. So that was something that played out nicely.
I don't think we didn't pay for those.
We didn't pay for them? Oh, okay.
I remember the discussion.
Yeah.
Is that for next, was it one of those, I think those are to replace something else
But that was an
next
element,
year.
that was an element of town center's
Yeah.
budget
No,
request
they
for
did
next
not-
year.
Yeah, they did not submit a bill for any of it this year.
Okay, that's all.
Okay. Thank you very much.
We've got the ordinance under general government.
Oh, okay. Yes, this is the, we would like to propose, this was previously discussed in a council meeting, ordinance 1081 regulating soliciting and canvassing in the borough.
Has it been advertised?
Yes.
Okay.
It's been advertised, the council, I guess we authorized that last time.
Right, okay.
So I will move that we adopt that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Lauren to adopt ordinance 1081 regulating soliciting and canvassing in the borough. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. The ordinance is approved. Planning and zoning.
Thank you, Dave. The committee did not meet last month, and we will not be meeting this month. I have a cold, I apologize, that's why I sound the way I do. I wanted to report that the zoning hearing board made the decision about the bed and breakfast application at 207 Riverview Road. And I don't know, Jane, has that been circulated to people to read, or just me?
No, we never, I mean, I know if you want, but no, we don't, yeah.
So just to summarize, it was sort of it was a three-part decision. And the first question was whether or not the applicant was permitted to keep using the property the way she was as a non-conforming use. In other words, renting out the accessory dwelling. The zoning hearing board felt like that question was not properly before them, so they declined to make a decision on that piece. And then the second part was the special exception to use the main house as a bed and breakfast. They approved that. And then number 3 was whether or not the applicant could get a variance from the ordinance in order to extend the bed and breakfast into the accessory dwelling, the garage, and the board denied that.
Okay.
So I believe we are still in, the 30-day appeal period, right, Bob?
I believe so.
Okay. So that's what happened with that. I don't know if anybody has any questions or wants to know more about that, or if you want a copy of the decision so you can read it for yourselves, we can get that sent to you.
One question?
Sure.
It seemed from what I read about it that the question was whether the borough was going to enforce anything with respect to the outer building.
Mm-hmm.
How does that, if at all, get brought before us?
I believe that that's, I may be wrong, but that's, in the first instance, the responsibility to act if action is appropriate by the zoning officer of the borough, who is the borough manager and secretary.
So it's not before us?
It's not
I
before
think
us.
that's correct.
Okay.
It is not. Yes. And then I wanted to mention that Mike Peters, who is the chair of the zoning hearing board, his term ends this month, so we wanted to thank him for his service. And Ruthie Cohen, who is the current alternate, she'll just move around to a seat, and we're going to have to advertise for another alternate for the zoning hearing board, and we'll do that, I guess, after the first of the year. And the planning commission continues to meet about the aging in place task force report. But they're doing a good job, and they're starting to draft some things that I think they're going to try to present to Borough Council early next year. Maybe some things having to do with co-housing or accessory dwelling units, things like that, but nothing firm yet. And I think that is it for planning.
They're going to get it listed.
Yeah, they're meeting on Wednesday. If anybody would like to come, they are meeting on, what is Wednesday? I'm sorry, the 20th, 7:30 here in this room. So yes, please attend.
Okay, and in connection to that vacancy, a point I might have made in my earlier comments is that it happens that at this point in time in the history of the boroughs, all the elected officials are council members and mayor are Democrats. When we moved to the borough in 1969, all the borough council members and the mayor were Republicans. This is a result of just the demographics changing over time. But everyone should understand in the borough, we can't cause people to run for office if they choose not to run for office without regard to partisanship. But one thing we can do is assure people in the borough that political affiliation or registration plays no part in any decision that council makes, that the borough makes, in terms of membership on commissions or authorities that the board, the council has to approve from time to time. We welcome people who are interested in the present and future of the borough, and encourage them without regard to any factors other than their interest and their ability to serve, to come forward to serve in any position of this kind in the borough.
Yes. All we ask is that you attend the meeting.
Okay, public safety.
Yes, all members of the Public Safety Committee being present, I'm going to ask for a vote of approval of the minutes of the committee's last meeting of the year, which was held on 17th of October, 2017. I move for approval of the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. Thanks very much. The only other item I have is that we will very shortly experience a vacancy on the Civil Service Commission because Mary, being soon to be our new Register of Wills for Delaware County, is precluded from service on the Civil Service Commission. So we've got an alternate. but we need to appoint, whether it's the alternate or someone else, we need to appoint a new member of the commission, and then when that's done, we have to appoint an alternate. So this is just a heads up. Hasn't happened yet, but obviously will be happening shortly. Thank you.
It is interesting that we, from time to time, as the public knows, we adjourn into to executive sessions, but this is the first time in my experience that we adjourn into committee meetings. But we're nothing if not flexible. Public Works.
In keeping with that tradition, newfound tradition, that's on my agenda as well, so it would be the October minutes. So if I could get a yay. Lauren, Ross.
Seconded.
All right, so we'll approve our minutes.
Yeah.
We did not meet last month. We don't have anything on the board for this month. I spoke to, or texted Kazi briefly today. He didn't have anything major for us. I thought the borough did a nice job with a lot of snow for December for us. So we had 2 or 3 quick snowfalls. I don't know.
Because he was gone
We're
this
not
weekend.
at a point where we're worried about our salt yet, right?
So we have a big load of salt.
We have a huge.
And we did literally finish leaf collection one day and start collecting snow the next week.
Yeah. Season was rushing upon us.
It's an odd season of the year because you have to get out and plow before it melts. It's quite odd, but you have to do it.
You have to do it. You have to do it, certainly for the commuters. I certainly will not be as eloquent as Mr. Grove, but I did want to say thank you to all of you. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. It's been a true pleasure learning the workings of both our paid employees and our volunteer employees, like the fire department, in town, and just how much people care about the town. And so, to Sarah and Betsy, welcome aboard. Thank you so much for running for Borough Council. To Sue Kelly, who's outgoing and has done a tremendous amount of work for AAC, all out of public service. You know, that it's not a paid position. So it's been a pleasure. I'll love to see everyone around town. And thank you so much.
Okay. Is there, I feel somewhat remiss in the comments I made at the beginning for not having expressed appreciation to those who are responsible for the organization and operation of our fire service, and it's very much appreciated. It's, I know that I've mentioned many times that while in high school, both of my kids were firefighters for the borough and loved it. And they, to this day, recount with affection the time they spent with Company 14. I think each of them still has their helmets.
My 8-year-old daughter was getting recruited while we were getting our Christmas tree.
Well, it's as I've said otherwise, you haven't lived until your Volvo leaves your station, your driveway at 80 miles an hour at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's a whole separate thing. Okay. Any other business to be before us tonight?
Yes, I have some other business, David, but I'd like to defer until after we've heard from our solicitor. At the end of the meeting, in other words.
Okay, Mayor?
Yeah, just before adjournment.
Mayor?
Thank you, David. Start by saying what a pleasure it's been to have you as council president for the last 2 years, and I think we may talk about this a little later, but I think it's a fitting cap on your long career of service to the borough, and I thank you for it.
Thank you.
The only real thing I have today is to remind people that apparently Christmas is coming very soon.
Really?
Yeah, someone told me that. And I encourage everybody to please shop in town. And in particular, I think Frantic Friday is coming up, I believe. Is that the right term? So it's really, it's been a real pleasure to see people in town. I mean, obviously the fire department sold out their Christmas trees this year, which is always a good thing. And it was really, it's really just a pleasant thing to see the trees running around town and all those kinds of things. And it's a good build-up on things. The last thing I wanted to do was invite Chief Craig. He has something which wanted to present to,
I want to say thank you for your
No, thank you.
support of the police department and good luck in your.
Well, thank you. My future endeavors is I'm trying to figure out what endeavor I have left to do, but thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot.
you can find a
Give
jacket.
my best to your sergeants and to your officers, please.
You can find a jacket for that patch. Okay, that's it.
Okay, manager, borough manager, sorry.
David, thank you for your kind words. I think you'll all get tired of me saying how much I love this job, and every part of it almost has been a pleasure. I did do some math, and if I hang on for another 4 years, I will have been manager 25% of the time that the borough has been in existence. That seems somewhat terrifying, so perhaps I should leave before then.
No.
I did want to point out just something a little bit amusing on the manager's report. One thing not so amusing, I'm meeting with our engineer and the end of November on this municipal separate storm sewer. The federal government and the state is quite serious about municipalities taking care of and managing their stormwater. And we do have about $500,000 of projects that we have submitted for consideration to reduce the amount of sediment in our streams. There is a soft mandate to get that done in the next 5 years. We'll be aggressively looking for grant programs to help us manage that, as well everybody else. So whoever takes over Public Works or Environment will probably work together on some of those projects. Our engineer has done a great job, did a nice plan for us, and now the next step is definitely on us. And the other thing that I had on there was, as the mayor mentioned that last time, he and I both went to the goodbye party for Stuart Hain. And I know he's not watching and he's almost gone, but if anybody can put it in there, I think Stuart went such a long way in promoting tremendous cooperation between the borough and the college, and financial support for joint projects, and moral support when things weren't going well. I mean, he's just been a tremendous asset, and as the mayor said, he's almost irreplaceable. But I just wanted to thank him for the many years that we spent together. That's all I have.
Bob?
Thanks, I don't have anything. There was some discussion of reorganization. Anybody have?
Yes, there's some,
quick outline on that?
Yes, please, why don't you do that?
So the reorganization, all the persons getting sworn in need to have a residency affidavit and their certificate of election, which is provided by the county. The mayor gets sworn in first. He can then swear in the other elected officials.
Because the judges are really busy that day.
Yeah, but she's traveling to all the municipalities within her district. Once they're sworn in, the mayor then presides over the meeting and asks for nominations for the president of council. And then once the names are put into nomination, whoever gets the majority is the president. Then we do the same for vice president, and then the mayor hands over the gavel and the new president presides.
And the new president presides over the process of the election of the vice president.
It's not the way I read it.
Oh, okay.
I read it as,
All right.
yeah, I mean, I know we've done it that way in the past, but it says here that the mayor, hold on a second. The mayor presides over the organization of the council until it is organized as provided in section 1001. Section 1001 says that you have a selected president and vice president.
Okay, all right, I'll
And just to note, that reorganization meeting is at 7:15 because that's when the district justice is coming. So that meeting will be Tuesday, January 2nd at 7:15.
Okay.
Will it then be a meeting?
Yes, we
So
we advertised it, yeah.
As a regular work.
It will thereafter be a regular work session.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anything else before we adjourn?
Yes. So, as one of the three, or maybe 3.5 Davids, if you count Mike's middle name, on council, and by the way, that may be some, I don't know if that's ever happened before in the history of council, or if it will ever happen again. So we should We should savor our final moments together.
I'm luxuriating in every moment.
Seated in a row.
But if you count Mike as half, you have literally half of council.
Well, I think you're right. There's probably, that's probably, I don't know if that's allowed or not, but we'll just leave that out. But I don't think there's anything in the borough code about it. But so it's a very bittersweet moment for me, and I think for others on council as well, to say goodbye to our two colleagues with whom it's been such a pleasure to serve, and both of whom have done such a fantastic job on council and for the borough. Dave Murphy for the past 4 years, David Grove for the past 8 years. And, I guess I'll start with you, Dave, since you're the junior member of the Daves. Notice how we're seated in progression, 4 years, 6 years. It's like,
Watch out, Borough Council ages someone.
you can't write this. I mean, it just happened that way. But anyway, of course, Dave has been active in the borough for a long time. He, among other things, was president of SRA. He is active in that organization. I happen to know he's a great coach and mentor, all those sorts of wonderful things. And the first 2 years on council, he was chair of the General Government Committee. That's always fun. The last 2 years, he took over Public Works when David Grove was elected president, and has done a bang-up job in that capacity. And so, on behalf of council, we want to present you tokens of our gratitude and esteem. First of all, for your service as chair of the Public Works Committee, we have the happy man in his dump truck. It's customary, by the way, or it has become customary to present gifts as books. Yes, in the printed word. The printed word. So the happy man in his dump truck. I think
Thank you very much.
that's appropriate. But that's not all. That's not all. Because the other thing that Dave Murphy is famous for is chairing the Pedestrian and Bicycle Task Force. And this even predates his time on council. And this is really important, and I know the mayor would agree with me, because one of the things that we're trying to do here in Swarthmore is to make this the most livable, and that includes the most walkable kind of community that we can. And so all the work that task force did under Dave's leadership and since, and we're still seeing the fruits of that as I speak. I mean, it's not all completed yet, but gone a tremendous way, I think, to improving the quality of life in the borough, and I know we're going to continue to move in that direction. As a cyclist and a pedestrian, I appreciate it myself, but I'm sure everyone does. So, in memory of that, we're presenting you with family-friendly biking in New Jersey. We can invite that out. And Eastern Pennsylvania. But we thought you might enjoy that. I know you're an avid cyclist, and it's got a lot of really good bike routes in there for you,
Thank you so much.
and your family.
Thank you all very much.
Yes. Let me jump on the.
Yes.
Okay, just.
Please do.
Please so, as the mayor, I get to do these kinds of things. So I whipped up a number of my volunteer service awards, which is suitable for framing, as you can see. So and this one says, the mayor, representing the grateful people of Swarthmore, recognizes and applauds the volunteer spirit and commitment of David Murphy, whose service on Borough Council has been exemplary these past 4 years, building on his work with the Bicycle and Pedestrian Task Force and making the borough a better place for all its citizens. David contributed mightily to the discourse of council, bringing his no-nonsense Catholic League lunchbox perspective to every discussion, and his unique combination of candor and empathy will be sorely missed. Thank you, David, and well done. Signed by me as the mayor of the borough of Swarthmore.
Thank you very much.
I would like to add to that if I could.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Back in the spring, I asked David if he was going to run again, and he temporized, and I said, well, you really should run again. And one of the reasons I felt that way is that on many issues, some of us sort of retreat into the perfect subjunctive and qualify our feelings about things so as not to hurt people's feelings. And the thing I've loved about Dave is he's always been prepared to say, that's the dumbest thing I've ever done."
And on that note, we're going to move on to our esteemed President of Council, David Grove, and where to begin. So, been on council for the past 8 years, president for the last 2. He was chair of the Public Works Committee for 4 years, I believe. Oh, really, from the beginning?
From the beginning.
6 years. So,
Sewers are my name and games.
That's it. And you know, not to mention the fact, not directly related to council, but certainly to the long service he's given to the borough since 1975 anyway. He was on the school board for 12 years, was president of the school board for 4 years. I think for 8 years was Swarthmore's representative, and I hope I have this right. Is it the Delaware County Authority?
Central Delaware.
Central Delaware County Authority. It's a bit of a mysterious, shadowy organization, but I think we all believe it's very important and performs some essential function, and it does. And he devoted 8 years of his time to that as well. So I think one other thing I want to say about David with respect to the 6 years that he had on the Public Works Committee is like Dave Murphy. I think he has been, and continues to be enchanted by some of the machinery involved in public works. And in fact, I think it was maybe last month or the month before at one of our council meetings, he referred to a steam shovel that he saw on the side of the road. I don't know if there actually have been any steam shovels in service for, I don't know, maybe the last 50 or 60 years. But I think we all know what he meant.
That's a function of my age, I'm sorry.
And in testament to that, we want to present him with Mike Mulligan,
A great book.
and his steam shovel.
Thank
you.
One of the greatest books ever written. Probably we all would agree on that. And that's about an actual steam shovel.
I understand.
Yes, it's, yeah.
I think my son Jonathan might have had this book. But that's,
It's a great book,
Yeah, thank you.
but that's not all. So I just wanted to say that, you know, David has really, in many ways in his life, exemplified the concept of citizen public service. It goes way back, even prior to his time here with us in the borough of Swarthmore. Some of you may know David was a volunteer in the Peace Corps back in the very beginning, essentially, 1962, I think it was, when you started, right?
And with my wife Barbara.
With your wife Barbara, and you were in Lagos, Nigeria, I think that's right?
That's correct.
And you know, this was at a time, I mean, I was probably not old enough to remember, but almost, when I certainly know from my older brothers that this was a time when the idea of public service and getting out there and helping your fellow citizens here in the United States, but also in the world, and spreading American values and belief in democracy and fair play and all that sort of thing were extremely important. So I think it's just, he's led a very admirable life, going back that far. And in testament to that, we wanted to present him with a book, Sarge, The Life and Times of Sergeant Shriver, whom you may know was the original head of the Peace Corps, working with President John F. Kennedy.
Thank you
So
very
David,
much. Thank you very
with
much.
all of our esteem and affection.
And I get to jump in here again.
Thank
I have another volunteer service award.
you.
The mayor, representing the grateful people of Swarthmore, recognize this, recognizes and applauds the volunteer spirit commitment of David Grove, marking his 127 plus or minus years of service to the people of Swarthmore.
There you go.
David is an example for all, a paradigm of what it means to be a citizen. He has touched the lives of all in Swarthmore through his service on the Auditor Swarthmore School District, School Board, I guess it was the Swarthmore School Board.
No, it was Swarthmore.
It was those two. The Planning Commission, Borough Council, and his Borough Council President. We will miss his wit, his sage advice, his leadership, and his light touch on the tiller of borough government. We wish he and Barbara all the best as they embark on their next adventure together. Thank you, David, and well done.
Well, thank you very much. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Where'd my pen go?
Well, that all having been said, is there a motion to adjourn?
Wistfully, motion to adjourn.
Thank you. One of the new members who will come on in January, one of you will have to assume Mr. Westby's role as the one who understands that to move to adjourn at the earliest possible moment. And we are adjourned. And with my thanks, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know, Mr.